So,
Adam, what are you in the mobile RedBar unit?
Yep. It's we're on wheels now.
that's the RedBar satellite office in Connecticut.
Unfortunately, my family is running rampant inside the house, so I've been kicked out.
I love it.
At least it's a beautiful day. The sky is very pretty behind you.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If it was raining, they probably would still make me stay out here.
Nice.
Yeah, and I deserve it too. So there.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start this. I see that there's people still joining in the attendees, so I'll just quickly give an intro to the way that the webinar works for all the attendees. You guys can participate in the chat function that's at the bottom of the screen, and there's Adam Moore in the chat saying hi to Bulova. And then there's also a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen too. So if you have questions, go ahead and type them in the Q&A, and then when we're done or we're closer to the end of the time, we'll take some of your questions. But feel free to wave hi to each other in the chat as well. So with that, you guys all know me, Kathleen McGivney, CEO of RedBar, and Adam Craniotes, the bearded sort of woodland creature that's appearing before you.
Happening.
Founder of RedBar. But I'm going to turn it over to Michael Benevente, who is from Bulova, and he is here to share some fun new pieces from Bulova and a couple of sneak previews for RedBar members. So I will hand it over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Adam. Thank you to the RedBar crew. Really excited to be here under our history of firsts. This is Bulova's first Zoom presentation to a big group like this, so very exciting to be here. Special thanks also to, I think we have some of our Bulova marketing team who helped put together a presentation, and also our friends at the Promotion Factory who also are friends of RedBar crew and helped put this all together. So special thanks to everyone. So as Kathleen mentioned, I'm going to take you through a few fun surprises that I thought were very specific to RedBar crew that you all would be excited about. You can see two pictures behind me that are kind of little sneak peeks. And then I have something saved for the end, maybe after Q&A, in which will be actually our first announcement to the world of a new collaboration and a new project that we're working on. So it'll be fun to share that with RedBar. So I am going to get my screen up here, and I am going to take you all through our little presentation.
Folks in the comments, can you chime in if you can see the presentation? Because I can see it, but I want to make sure that the attendees can. So, okay, great. Yeah. Thank you, Nick.
It doesn't matter if we can see it. We need you to see it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Okay, you can go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to check.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, just tell me to stop. So as Kathleen mentioned, I'm with Bulova, Managing Director for the last 5 years on the brand, working on all the fantastic brand stories. We're soon approaching 150 years uninterrupted in the United States and always based in New York City. So a very cool part of working on the Bulova brand is its longevity and its great history and its great stories, which we're going to tell some of those stories today. So as many of you are very familiar with, Bulova has an amazing history in military. We were certainly one of the key brands, along with probably Hamilton and Ben Russ and a few others, that were really supplying and working very closely with the military in the United States. We have a really great archive now that actually, between the work that we did on the museum in the last 5 years, we were able to really capture a lot of our historical artifacts and beautiful history that the brand has. So we're going to be highlighting today a few of the military heritage pieces that we're reintroducing. Our first one is the Bulova Hack Watch. Many of you know that right after and during World War II, We were very, very much involved in making watches for military. The Hack watch was nicknamed the watch that won the war after World War II, as it had its ability to actually synchronize, and the word hack comes from the synchronization in which everyone would hack and synchronize their watches, and certainly Bulova was very influential in those watches during that time period. Here you can see a few of the vintage models that we have in our museum at the Empire State Building. And so the reproductions of the Hack watch, again, these are now in automatic version. So we are introducing these with a Miyota movement, in which you have 3-hand automatic with a 42-hour power reserve. These both will have dome mineral crystals, luminescent hands and markers, beautiful oversized crown. The leather strap, NATO strap, really soft and supple, and 30 meters water resistant. And we think we have a really great introductory price here, $395 and $450, so very attainable, a really great way to own some history in an automatic watch.
I gotta say, I'm gonna interrupt you for a second and tell you how much I really like the one on the right. It's amazing. I love it. It looks great.
Thank you, Kathleen. And unfortunately, obviously, the one terrible feature about doing things this way is that we don't get to touch and feel. But as soon as we can all get out again, I look forward to everyone being able to see some of these samples and being able to touch and feel these great new watches. So that leads us to our next version, but I have to also speak about the Joseph Bulova School, which was started in 1945 by Artie Bulova, who was Joseph Bulova's son. He founded the school for veterans, really, and to give veterans who are coming back from the war an opportunity to start a trade. The school was funded by a foundation that had been set up by Artie Bulova, so that any veteran that came to the school and had the aptitude and the desire to want to pick up the trade, they would not have to pay any tuition. It was tuition free, and then they would graduate as a full-fledged watchmaker coming out of the school. And many of the watchmakers during the 50s, 60s, and 70s had graduated from the Joseph Bulova School in Queens, New York. So
the building is still there, isn't it?
The building,
by LaGuardia.
Yes, the building. Well, that's one of them. There's several buildings there in Queens. The building that you see with the sign outside LaGuardia was one of the last offices that we had before we moved. Actually, we stayed in Woodside, and then later on, 5 years ago, we moved a big portion of the team to the Empire State Building. But that's the fun history of Bulova, and that, you know, for over 145 years, we've been uninterrupted in New York City, and of course the United States, which is really quite unique. Especially when you go through times like these, you realize, you know, the longevity that you have to have when you think about 145 plus years, how cool that is. This brings us to a program that was started a few years back by Sam Cannon. Sam is in Odessa, Delaware, and he is actually a graduate of the Joseph Bulova School many years ago now. And he started the Veterans Watchmaking Initiative program. It was his idea to try to replicate what he had learned and what the opportunity that he had had at the Joseph Bulova School, and he started the Veterans Watchmaking Initiative. It is specifically for veterans, as was the Joseph Bulova School, and it is also tuition free. So he has really done a labor of love. He's really done it all on his back. There have been a few companies that have helped a lot. I can tell you the Swatch Group, I know for sure, donated a lot of equipment. We've donated equipment. I know several other watch companies have also donated. We've also, as part of our foundation, donated money for him to be able to continue to provide tuition free. And we wanted to take it a step further. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you see actually the first graduating class that came through last spring. We had them up at the Empire State Building, and we really had a day for them there. We had lunch with them, took them to the observatory, and it was really a fun day to celebrate the first graduating class coming out of there. And then we were brainstorming that day, and we said, wouldn't it be cool to, kind of have a watch that represents the Veterans Watchmaking Initiative? So that is the next watch that's up on the screen. It's again another variant of the hack watch that I just showed. It's the same movement, using the Miyota movement that were in the two previous. The only difference is this is a special edition. This also has the logo of the school, which will be on the case back of every watch. And proceeds of every watch that we sell on this particular model will go back to the school. So the other subtle difference is this has a NATO nylon strap versus the leather on the first two, and 10% goes back to the school.
That's really great. And I really like the commitment to the initiative. A question. Oh, it's 38 millimeter case. Okay, I'm sorry. For some reason I overlooked that on the previous one. This is a great piece, and I love that proceeds are going to support that initiative. It's great.
And they're really great. Sam is really a wonderful person. I mean, it's a labor of love for Sam. And if anyone out there has met him, maybe some of you from the RedBar crew may know Sam. Really great project, and really great for the guys and ladies that are going through the program. So staying with the military theme, and again, just to share some stories, Bulova had a very unique situation in that besides making watches, we also had a military defense contract company. We had Bulova Military Defense, which made timing munitions and made other instrumentation for the U.S. military, which was separate from the watchmaking business. And that business really stayed open until the late 70s, early 80s, when they finally closed that division. But for many years, we were very close to the military, so close that when Omar Bradley retired as the last five-star general, he became chairman of the board of the Bulova Watch Corporation, which the military division fell underneath that corporation. So a very unique, part of Bulova's history is also its military and defense connection. So with that, you see the Bulova A15. I'm sure many of you are aware of the A15 over the years. It's a very historic watch. It was part of a project that we were testing these watches with test pilots. It was really the precursor to a lot of the space projects that we did. And of course, other brands, as we know, certainly Omega, were also part of that part of the space program. But this A15 was one of the early watches in the test programs. And many of the test pilots later went on to become astronauts as well. And many of them owned many Bulova watches, including this one. I had pointed out to Adam a couple of days ago when we were going through the presentation that this particular watch you're seeing with orange numerals and hands, but actually the original versions were white. What had happened over time is many of the watches had oxidized and the white had turned to orange. But you'll see in the next iteration, this is really what the watch originally looked like, all with white numbers and white hands. So we kept it true to the original. There had been a couple of A15 renditions over the years. Actually, I'm wearing one. I don't know if you can see it. This is a watch probably from about 7 years ago, so not too long ago. And this was done under the old AccuSwiss label that no longer is really in existence. But we had done it the way that was shown before, but as we were rethinking and wanting to redo, we came out with it in the original way. So just in case people own in another version, that's the difference.
I have to give you credit for that. There are a lot of people who, maybe one who's watching in particular, Chris, who really can't stand the patina trend, as they call it, to get that forced patina look for these vintage watches. And it's something I've thought about. Well, I don't have a problem per se with patina. It's nice to have you guys kind of say, you know what, screw that. This is what it looked like. Let's sell it to you the way that it was handed off to the pilots. So
Yeah,
it's definitely a unique take. A lot of people don't do that.
thank you, Adam. And we were definitely going back and forth, as we were discussing in the product development cycles that we do. And we said, well, we also had made it this way, right? We also had done it this
Yeah.
once before. So, you know what? Who cares? Let's go back and
Yeah.
let's have some fun. So this is coming back again using a beautiful Miyota movement automatic. Has a 42-hour power reserve. Dome sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating, luminous hands and markers. Of course, here we have the two inner, rotating discs. You're going to have at the 2 o'clock hour, the crown that rotates the elapsed time in minutes. And then at the 4 o'clock, you're going to have crown indicating the elapsed time in hours. And you can also set that into dual time. So it can also act as a second time zone. So that's kind of cool. And the strap, again, really paying attention to a beautiful leather strap with top stitching. And again, what I really think there's a lot of feature and benefits in this watch for $695 US retail at 42 millimeter case.
Do you happen to know what the size of the original was?
The original was very close to it. I want to say it was probably about 40 millimeter.
Okay.
I can double check on that, but we're not far off from the original. Sometimes we do get, some of the collector community does comment that, we tend to maybe supersize things, and we really have not been. We've been trying to stay very true. Sometimes our limitations are existing movements.
Right.
We have to fit into a Miyota, or we have to fit into a Salida. And sometimes that's the issue. Otherwise, we could do them exactly the same size. We usually try to.
Right.
So that's it for military. And so now we go into what we've been doing the last 4 years now, which is our archive series. Every year we try to introduce a new, what we feel was a very important watch. And not that those military watches are not important from the past, but they really fit into its own little collection called military. This watch that I'm going to introduce now is the chronograph A. In the early 70s, Bulova really went after chronographs and making the chronograph A, B, C. I know a lot of the RedBar crew are very familiar with them. I know many of them own them because I've seen them in different meetups that we've had over the years, and everyone's been very proud to show them. We had the chronograph C a few years ago, the Stars and Stripes watch, which we still have in the collection. And so as we were mining our history again, and that's part of what the archive series is about, we said, well, it's time to really go after the chronograph A and make the nickname, surfboard. So here you're seeing the original watch from 1970 in the inset box. And here is our latest limited edition. So this will be the limited edition version from the series. It's limited to 350 pieces worldwide. All of them will be numbered. The retail price will be $2,950. And this particular watch will have a Salida movement chronograph, beautiful Salida movement, 27 jewel, 48-hour power reserve, Swiss made, with a dome sapphire crystal, anti-reflective coating, screw down crown, and deploying closure with a double pusher. So really fine watchmaking here with paying attention to a lot of the little subtle details that people will be looking for in a watch like this.
Can you speak a little bit to the bracelet? I know that you put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of aftermarket vintage bracelets that were added on after the fact for this watch. And it was very difficult to find what the original bracelet was on this watch. We did a lot of scouring in the archive. We had originally a few other bracelets that we thought were the original, and then we understood that they were aftermarket. So we really landed on the one that we're showing here as the original bracelet. And then you're going to see in the next few slides after some fun things that we're doing as well. Actually, the next slide is going to show the packaging for the limited edition. So this is specific to the watch I just showed you. We really wanted to capture kind of that 1960 California dreaming, if you will, feeling. So the top, the top of the box, has that, kind of like, florally California feel. And then you open the box and, you have the beautiful wood and glass insert for the watch. So we really feel that the box, makes a nice presentation to go along with this special watch.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I'll take the box. I mean, if I can't afford the watch.
I can tell you the box is really fun. We put time into it, but it's cool.
To Adam on the bracelet, it's that bracelet is just stunning. It looks great.
And then, as Adam noted, 38 millimeters too.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, keep going. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. It's got a really nice weight to it. Again, it's a really nice, solid, beautiful, stainless steel bracelet. And really, even for it's a little bit more expensive, but it's really a great value for all of the benefits that you're getting in the watch, and certainly the history of it is really great. So understanding that we were only making 350 of the previous watch, we knew there was also a big appetite for people that like the look, they like the story behind it, and we thought, we'd like to make it a little bit more democratic and be able to offer, a different variant version of it. So here you have a quartz chronograph. At the moment, it's not easy for us to produce an automatic chronograph that's affordable at this price. So we are introducing this in a quartz version, and it'll be $695 opening price. It still has a lot of the features. It has a sapphire crystal with the AR coating. Here we did a beautiful perforated strap. This was very reminiscent of that time. I know the RedBar crew is very familiar with the straps from that time period, coming with what was a brand at the time, Tropic, kind of reminiscent of that Tropic strap. And then again, this will be a deploy enclosure with the pushers and water resistance at 200 meters.
Yeah, on the orange, that's a perfect summer beach watch. You don't have to worry too much about it, but it still looks great. And there's a lot of, I think we're getting past a lot of the hate that we get for quartz too. It has its place, especially at this price point. And we also have to keep in mind it's a lot more rugged and reliable and accurate. So I think in this application at this price point, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather go surfing with this on my wrist than, something more expensive or that more prone to getting, damage from jarring or anything like that. Like I'd throw this on my wrist and go in the ocean with it and not worry,
God, the thought of going into the ocean and being at the beach, let's stop talking about that.
Yes.
Enough.
The thought of that is amazing. I wish we could do it today.
Soon enough. But the fantastic collection though. You did a really great job on these. I have the Chronograph C, the reissue, which I love. It's actually I always make sure to wear it on July 4th, no matter what, because it is a very patriotic watch. But your archive series has been fantastic, and they've all been priced right.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah. So, I mean, we really, I mean, the company has such great history and stories to tell that for us to go try to invent new things was, at some point really silly. I mean, we just started to go back and re-look at all of the great, like the Computron last year, for those of you who remember.
Yeah, I have that too also. I love it.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
And our first one that we did, let's say 5 years ago, we started was the Lunar Pilot, right? Which came to us.
I have that also. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Lunar Pilot, the Lunar, and our thing with all of these watches is that, they were valid, many of them were valid 30, 40, 50 years ago. They're still valid today, if not even more. And we see them, they could be in the line 30 years from now, God willing. So
it's timeless.
Exactly. So as we
no
build,
pun intended.
No, exactly. You're here all weekend. Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah. Tip your waitress.
Try the veal. So I have,
we gotta get an act going here.
I saved there's a surprise at the end, so I don't know if you want to, take on if there's any questions or comments from folks out there.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions on what they've seen so far?
Yeah, there's a couple. Well, actually, there's a lot of people really, like enjoying these watches and praising them in the comments. Adam Moore, he says he really wants one of the Chronograph A 38 millimeter watches, so he's gonna reach out to you guys. Also wants to know when the surfboards are available. I know you said these are available for pre-order on your website, right? This particular one?
Yes, this particular one that's back on the screen is available. Actually, the quartz version should be available now. This should be coming in within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
It is available for pre-sale. The coronavirus put a little delay in shipments, of course. These were all slated for, late spring, early summer. So we're pretty much in the area of them coming in within the next few weeks.
Okay.
Too far away right now.
Okay. I've got a couple of other questions. Again, from Adam, he said he'd like you to talk about the use of the Miyota movements in the reissue watches and how do those compare to the other movements like the Solita that you're using in the limited edition.
Usually the choice of either using, the really great thing about Bulova is that since we're an American watch brand, let's say, founded in the United States, we really don't get into the politics of where the movement has to come from. I know it's difficult if you're a Swiss watch company, and I've worked for other Swiss watch companies in my past history. So I get it, you get very ethnocentric about having to be Switzerland. And then of course, if you're like our sister brand Citizen and that's a Japanese brand, then so they have to be kind of agnostic to the Japanese movements. We get to play in all of the sandboxes and we try to use whatever is the most efficient and whatever can most serve our needs. So in the case of the surfboard, we really needed the Solita movement in order to get the two eyes, the way we needed for the surfboard motif. And that wasn't available for us to be able to do easily with the Miyota movement. Whereas in the military, the Miyota movements served us perfectly, no issue. So Miyota also helps us many times to come in at a certain more value price. So we can really offer a lot more value for money if we can use a Miyota. Because again, we're fully integrated in terms of we own, our group owns Miyota. So we're able to really give the consumer more value. So that's how we decide whether it's Solita or Miyota.
Okay.
I also think that the Miyota, especially the automatic that you're using in the military pieces, sometimes it gets a bum rap, but it's actually quite a nice movement, and it compares very well to its Swiss counterparts. There's a reason that we see it in a lot of watches, and also at that price point. It gives you the option to kind of have that hacking, automatic watch you want, but also at a price point that you can't really do with the Swiss. So. I think it's a fine movement.
So we have one other question. It's actually your personal opinion, Michael. What's your favorite archive series piece? And I'm actually going to ask Adam that question as well. But Michael, what out of all the archive series pieces that you've done, what's your personal favorite?
I haven't had a chance to wear the surfboard yet, so I'm going to give the surfboard a pass, although I love it. But I would say probably the Stars and Stripes.
Okay.
Very unique bracelet. The bracelet version has that very unique attachment, very 1970s, and I love the size of it. So I would say Stars and Stripes, Chronograph C.
Okay.
Right.
I'm sure it will surprise no one to know that my favorite of the archive series is the Devil Diver. It's I have one, so I have an, and also it's just really on brand for me to like something that's called Devil. Adam, what's your favorite of the archive series that Bulova have done so far?
Well, thank you for handing that off, She Devil. Let's see. I have to say the one that's most on brand for me would probably be the Moon Watch, but in black. which I have because I do wear black. But I think the one that is my favorite is the Computron, because it's just so much fun. It's such a great watch.
It is a great watch, and it is fun. Like I remember right when it was introduced, and you know, a lot of our members got to get their hands on it for the first time. You cannot hold that watch in your hands and not smile. Like it's just whimsical and fun, and you know, and the price point was you couldn't beat it, and everybody wanted one, and it was, you know, it was.
Yeah, I have to say I was a little surprised. I mean, there's a part of me that thought maybe some people were going to be like, wait, what? You know, what's this? Who cares? You know, we're not here to talk about a digital watch, especially something from the 70s. But I think almost to a T, everybody who saw it was just like, wow, this is great. So I get this is a huge kick out of wearing that watch.
Yeah, same here. I have another question in the Q&A from Venancio, actually, is how is the decision-making done for an archive series piece to become reality? So I know you guys have, as we've talked about before, you have such an extensive sort of, you know, museum and catalog and all these really great pieces that Bulova has produced throughout its history. How do you guys, you know, how do you pick one? Like what's the decision-making process? And you know, I know that sometimes you guys, you know, in a lot of cases, you know, get feedback from collectors too. So what's the decision-making process, and how do you get from you know, wanting to make an archive series piece to the production of it?
Great question, even though it came from Venancio.
Even a stop clock is right twice a day.
Exactly. Sorry, Venancio.
Sorry, Venancio.
We certainly look at the important watch. I mean, although there were many watches made by Bulova, obviously in its 145 plus year history, there are many standouts. You know, like the Lone Eagle, you know, comes to mind that, you know, we haven't worked on yet. That's, you know, kind of on our list. And, you know, there were all these chronograph series from the 70s that, you know, that were important. We also did Rubaiyat. We didn't do Rubaiyat as an archive series, but Rubaiyat is a ladies collection that was really based on the first ladies, commercially manufactured ladies watch from 1917. So it really it's about the importance of that watch in its history. And then also, sometimes we also have the viability of us being able to reproduce it. Because believe it or not, sometimes we have to take into account, is there a movement, you know, that can power that watch in that specific case or design? So there's a couple of different layers there, but certainly historical importance in terms of watchmaking play the most important role. And then lastly, we had fun a few years ago with a collectors group. It was Analog Shift, I believe, that we did a contest, and we basically put up, I think it was the Devil Diver, the surfboard, and the parking meter, which is another one on our radar still that we haven't done. And we gave the choice, and actually the winner was the Devil Diver, which is why we did that first. Now we've done the surfboard, so stay tuned. Maybe the parking meter is coming up next.
Well, just so you know, I voted for the surfboard. I was there at that party, so I feel vindicated now.
Yes.
I voted
Thank you.
So I got my wish. Okay, I think we don't have any other open questions. So do you wanna spring a little surprise on us?
Yeah, let's go spring a little surprise on everyone. Just get that slide. Okay, so we are premiering today. First in public is our new Sinatra collection, which is going to start shipping end of May, beginning of June, and actually will be a slow rollout throughout the year. And before I get into it any further, let me share a little clip.
It's B-U-L-O-V-A, Bulova Watch Time. America runs on Bulova time.
I love this.
Now Bulova presents the Frank Sinatra Show.
So part of the crazy history that this brand has, as you get into details, I don't know if any of you have the Bulova book that we published, I guess about 3 years ago now with Asulene. But some of the great stories are in that book. It's kind of like our roadmap many times to, where we can go with the brand. But certainly Sinatra, was a Bulova fan, actually an Accutron fan as well. He owned many Accutrons, he owned many Bulovas. And we also were a sponsor of the show for a few years during the 50s, which was the Frank Sinatra Hour. So as an homage to our relationship with Sinatra, we're launching this new collection, which will have basically 3 different case shapes to start. I think here you see them. The rectangular version will be quartz, and then the tonneau shape will be a Miyota automatic, as well as the version all the way to the right with the lighter dial that will also be an automatic. And the one in the middle, the one in the bracelet, which is the one I really wanted to talk to everyone on RedBar crew today, is a new Swiss manual wind. So this is a manual wind, not an automatic. It's a 19-jewel mechanical movement powered by Salida. And it's the first time we have a manual wind watch probably in decades in the collection again. I have a dome sapphire crystal, again, with the anti-reflective coating, a deploying closure with pushers, double pushers. And we have a beautiful presentation box, actually for the entire collection, that each watch will come in. So really fun collection and really paying tribute to that time period and Sinatra.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What is the texture on the dial? Is that what is that? I can't quite see it at this size. Is it like kind of crosshatch?
It's kind of like this really beautiful vintage textured, kind of finished style. Yeah, it's a really beautiful dimension to it. The bracelet is really a beautiful basket weave, but really flowy, not too stiff. We really had to work on that, through product development. We didn't want this like really stiff bracelet. So that came out really, really nice. Again, price points, starting at $11.50 for the stainless steel in the middle, and then $11.95 and $13.50 for the bracelet. We have a skeletonized back, so you can see the movement at work with the Sinatra logo, which is his hat, and his signature Sinatra. And there's the 3 collections, the 3 different body styles. Each one also has a name to it. So this one is the best is yet to come. So the back of the straps have the best is yet to come, written out on these 2, and then this one will have it on the case back.
Nice.
Beautiful.
And then from a marketing and communication standpoint, we're going to be able to use. We have a direct relationship with Frank Sinatra Enterprises, which is really the holding company that oversees all things Sinatra. And we'll be able to use some of his music, some of his images, like you saw in this other, pictures of different cool pictures of Frank. There, he's actually wearing a Bulova watch in that particular picture, which is great. So really, really exciting and really, happy to be able to, tell another story from a different time period.
That's great. We have another question. How did you decide which songs to use from Sinatra? I'm assuming that if they all have the different song titles associated with them, how did you decide on the music?
We worked with Frank Sinatra Enterprises directly on the music. Believe it or not, music rights had a lot to play in this, in that music that's written has rights, that could be owned by several different people. So we try to stay within the music rights that were owned by Sinatra and Sinatra Enterprises. So that kind of helped us. And then, thematically, just, songs that kind of made sense, for that time period, that 50s, that 40s, 50s, and 60s time period.
Great. Okay, well, these look really fantastic, and thank you for giving us a first look at them. Can you go back to the slide with the 3 The
This
next-
one, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just a couple of folks have commented in the comments about how much they like the dials, and one person said that they really love the gold hands on that gray dial, which I agree with. Is absolutely stunning. It's just I think these do kind of evoke that classic, that time period that you're going for. So yeah, I love these. If anybody else has questions, you want to pop them into the chat before we wrap up. Adam, do you have any comments?
Nothing beyond the fact that I think they're great. Can we go to the slide before this one?
Sure.
Yeah, it's just nice to see the whole collection there, and the one with the fluted dial is I think my favorite.
Yeah, it's funny, Adam, because the watch you're speaking of the watch all the way on the right, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
gold tone with the
beautiful dimensional dial. I mean, there's nice, beautiful ridges in that dial. It's really beautiful. It really.
Even the font you're using too is it hits all those notes.
Well, two little points here. The Bulova font is the actual appropriate font for that time period. So we're using the font from that period. And also, no one's asked about tuning fork, but there's no tuning fork because it's pre-1960. So the tuning fork wasn't born until 1960, and these watches are all pre-1960.
Gotcha.
What was for the rectangular one? Is that kind of a did you take that design from a previously existing watch? Because it does very much look like a vintage watch. So
yeah, it's a direct descendant of that time period, Bulova. All of them are Bulova influenced, if not 100%, if not 100%, very close to that. And that's the only quartz version. So that'll be entry price quartz. I believe it's 400.
Okay.
And what about the tonneau shaped one? Is that you said that one's automatic?
That's automatic, yeah. So then you have two automatics and then the manual wind in the middle. Great. So the two automatics are like $695. Everything under 1,000 except for the manual wind, which is the Swiss movement.
We have another question saying that they love the rectangular piece. And would like to know when we'll get to know more about the other pieces. I mean, obviously we've gone into detail about the manual wind ones, but he'd like to know when we'll hear more about the rest of the collection.
The rest of the collection will start coming out early summer. So definitely on our website first, if you want to find out more information. We'll be sending out emails for those of you who are on bulova.com and already get our mailing list. We'll certainly be putting out information to the mailing list on bulova.com, also on our Instagram handle and Facebook.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Great. Well, if we have no more, I don't see any other questions. Just a lot of positive comments about this collection. So, if we don't have any more questions, we can. Oh, there we go. The presentation box.
Yeah, there was one more slide. The presentation box. And what's fun here is that you see the picture of Frank on the top right of the page there. We'll be using 4 different pictures of Frank, but they're randomized. So at any given time, if a store has 4 or 5 different watches, it could have 4 different pictures of Frank. So just a little.
Right, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool, because then it's like you don't, there's not any specific photo associated with any specific watch, so you could just end up with, a random combination. That's kind of cool.
Exactly.
Old blue eyes.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for letting us have the first peek at these.
Oh, my pleasure.
And again, terrific value. That's something you guys are doing right. And I think we talked about this a little bit before earlier too, and I've talked about it in other places. We still want to support the industry. We still want to buy watches, but I know that, so many of us are really, kind of looking at the bigger picture and saying, times might get a little tough. A lot of people have been furloughed, had their hours cut back, their salaries cut, or been laid off even. And I think that, it's, when you think about discretionary purchases, especially watches, they kind of go to the wayside. But there are definitely pieces here that, even in my somewhat fiscally tenuous situation, which is usually the case for me, by the way, that there are watches here that I can actually buy, and not have to sleep in the car. So that's, like I have to say that the Veterans hack watch is something that I'm really excited about. I'm definitely going to be picking that up, and it's something I can do and kind of feel like I'm still supporting two causes, really: the industry I love, and a great cause in terms of for veterans. And then and I get a watch, and again, I said I don't have to, worry. Well, I'm still going to get yelled at, but not as much.
So I actually have a question about that with regards to availability. I know you touched on this a little bit, but for everything that we've seen today, I know these ones are coming out in the summer, but the rest of the items you've shown us what's their availability like besides, the surfboard, which we already talked about in detail? Are they
the military pieces? When are those coming out?
Yeah, so pretty much most of military was already shipping right when the coronavirus hit. So
Okay, perfect timing.
Some of this stuff is already out or on its way out. I would say it would have been available on our website, but one of the issues that we had is that our warehouse is in California, and California, as you know, is shut down, and unfortunately our warehouse is not non-essential. So we've had to do a couple of kind of rejiggering of where we ship out of, but that's only like a Band-Aid. So some items that would have been on our website already, if the warehouse that we're shipping out of currently doesn't have it, then we don't put it. It's on the website, but it'll say out of stock. It's marked out of stock. But let's say right now we're looking at, California announced May 15th. So we're still looking at another month before California can ship unless something changes. So basically some of it is out and some of it will be out as soon as, we get lifted out of this particular situation that we're in. On all of the military, same thing pretty much for surfboard. Surfboard was already shipping right before the virus hit. So some of it is already coming out. And then I think, again, once this whole thing gets lifted, it'll all be out pretty much by the end of May, beginning of June.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's good to know. Maybe who knows what will happen, but maybe they'll start to do some partial reopening of warehouse type things if with social distancing implemented or something like that. That would be helpful, I think, but only when it's safe to do so. Okay, well, thank you very much. Again, thanks so much for sharing the Sinatra collection with us and showing us all these awesome pieces. As Adam said, the price points in these are, giving you a lot of bang for your buck, which I really appreciate. And so thank you again for showing us these, and then hopefully we'll be able to buy them from you very soon.
Yeah, we can all hang out again soon.
I want to say to you, Kathleen and Adam, and all the RedBar. I mean, you've always been very supportive of our brand. We're very appreciative of the enthusiasm and the positive energy always towards Bulova. So thank you to the entire RedBar crew and to the two of you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, brother. All right, but look, stay safe. Keep fighting the good fight. And hopefully, like I said, we're all going to get together soon wearing our Bulovas.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Kathleen.
All right. Take care. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thanks.